Have you ever wanted to take one part of your store and put it on specific pages where it fit correctly? Like, let's say you have products that come from different places and you want to highlight on each product page what place that came from, but not only the name of the place, but a little bit about that place. But you didn't want to make it so that you had to change things manually every time something got updated or changed, right? So one of the ways you can do that is with metafields, and there are metafields for different parts of your store. The first metafields are a way to customize your Shopify store in ways that Shopify doesn't really have built in. So you can be creative with this and figure out what you would love to have done that's automatic. That would just save you so much time and effort. So in my last video, I talked about product metafields and creating different product blocks using metafields so that you can not only add new things to your product page, but your client can also customize it as much as they want or need to. Because remember, we want to hard code as little as possible. But I currently have a client who sources their items from 20 or so different places, and they want to talk about those places on each of the correct product pages. Now, instead of telling them to copy and paste the same text over and over onto each page, I decided that the best way to do this was metafields, and let me show you what I decided to do, because maybe this will help you out. All right, cool. So if you go to your dashboard and go to settings, we can see all the metafields. So we'll click on custom data, and then we have different metafields that we can use for different parts of our store. So we have product metafields, variant, collection, customers, order, etc., etc. What I want to do is I want to figure out how to associate each product with where it came from and also have text that I only have to write once, right? My client has hundreds of items. I don't want them to have to copy and paste the same few sentences on every product associated with that location, nor does that make sense because if something changes, they're going to have to go through all their products, find the correct ones, and then change the sentences. So let's make it easy for them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a metafield that's associated with every product. It's going to reference where those products came from. And I'm also going to make a page for every place that a product can come from. So I'm also going to use the pages metafields. So if we click on the product metafields, you can see what I have here. And I've actually already created the one I want. It's right here. It accepts multi-line text, even though we don't need that much, because all I'm going to be doing is referencing the title of each page. And that's going to figure out which page to pull metafields from. If you need to make your own metafield, go up here to add definition. You can type in a name, so I can type in location. And then for description, I can put a little description so that people know what it is. Cool. And then you want to select your type. So for here, I am going to do single line text. And mostly this is because my client is importing everything through a CSV, which doesn't accept much besides single line text or multi-line text or Booleans. But if you have less products than my client does, you could use something like a dropdown or whatever works best for you. When you're ready, you can press save. And then we are actually going to go out and go to pages. So I want to create a page for every location where products can come from. And I've actually already created 2 of the metafields that I'm going to need. So just like before, if you need to add one, add definition and do what we did before. But the one I'm going to be working with is this tradition to table summary. And I've already done what I need to do with the tradition to table summary. I'll show you how I did that, but we're going to set up this prefecture one today. So I'll close this out. And I'm going to go to the page where I want to edit these metafields. So as you can see here, I already created a bunch of pages and they all correspond to the locations of where these products are coming from. Now I want to go in and edit those metafields. All right, once you find the page that you're looking for, you can click on that. You'll see this metafield section here. And we already input one of them. I already did that tradition to table summary. Now I want to add the prefecture. So I'll do that. And I will make sure to save it. All right, so now we have our 2 metafields, and what I want to do now is go to the product page and figure out how to pull from these metafields here. And the reason that I chose this page to work on is because I know that the product I'm working on is associated with this location. All right, so when you're ready, you are going to go to your online store, click themes, and then whichever theme you are working on, you're going to want to get into that code. So once it loads, we want to go back to the product.liquid. You can find that in your sections folder here. And we want to create a block that our client can use, and they can move it around their product page. They can edit it if they want. They can change things up, but we do not want to hard code this. So to make a product block, we're going to scroll down all the way till we get to the schema here. And then we're going to go into our settings and we are going to look for where it says blocks. There we go, blocks right here. So now when we're in here, this is where we're going to create our new block, at least the schema for it. So kind of like the blueprint for it or the rules for it. And what I want to do is I want to create a block that just accepts a metafield, and that's it. That's all we need for this one. So I'm going to scroll down, and I actually already made this, so I'm going to look for it. And now I'm remembering what I did. What I did was I created this custom block, which are tabs, and I'll show you what they look like. But one of them is going to accept this location. So we don't need to worry about this for now. All of these here accept some dynamic data, which are metafields. If you need to, you can create your own. So let's actually do that so I can show you what it looks like. So we're going to come here, create our brackets, and then the first thing it's going to accept is a type. And what you put here is what is going to be referenced next. So I'm going to call this location. Then we want a name for it, and this is the name that's going to show up in the editor. So we want to make it easy to understand for ourselves and for the clients that we work with. So I'm just going to call it location of, nope, location where product came from. And then next is where we add the settings, and that is kind of the types of things that this block will accept. So is it going to be images? Is it going to be text? Anything like that. Cool. So we have our square brackets, and then for each type, you're going to put them in curly braces. And since this is just going to be accepting a metafield and that's it, I'm just going to have it as text. And I'm just going to copy it from below and change things up a little bit just to make it easier. All right, ID, let's call that text. And label, let's put metafields. And info, let's see, an option for information about the text setting, so we can put some info there about it. We don't have to. I'm actually going to get rid of this. All right, cool. So make sure you save that. Oh, okay. Unable to update location. Name is too long. Max. Okay. Location where product came from. Let's just say location of product. Cool. And actually, I am going to put an info down here because just in case. And then you just want to make sure you save it. And hopefully, cool, we got it. So now if we go to the customizer, we're going to see this option available. So let's check it out. You're going to exit here and then click on customize next to the theme you want to customize. Up here, you'll click on product and default because that's the only one we have. And I'm actually going to change this to a different product. I'm going to change it to the one that I have been working on. Cool, there we go. So now if I press add block, you'll see that there is a block here called location of product. That's the one we just made. So if I click that, it tells me that this is called Metafield. It has info about it. Select the metafield indicating where the product came from. You're going to want to click right here, connect to a dynamic source. And we're going to connect it to that very first metafield we created that related to the products. Great. And there is our location. But of course, we don't see this anywhere on the page because we haven't actually told our code how to display it on the page. So we need to add a little more code. I'm going to delete this for now. And I'm going to go back to the code. So again, back here, click here, edit code. And this time we want to define how a block looks when it is rendered. So we've told our code what the blocks are and what fields they accept. Now we want to show what it looks like when someone wants to actually use that block on their page. So this time we're actually going to be looking at our product blocks.liquid, which is in your snippets folder. So again, scroll down, snippets, it should be in there. And this is going to show what all the product blocks look like that are available for the product page. And just like I showed you in my last video, anything that comes after a when tag is going to be rendered whenever that block is used. So when the vendor block is used, this bunch of code will be displayed. When a text box is rendered, this bunch of code here will be displayed all the way until the next when block. What I want to do is create a new when block with some new code that is going to be displayed when the location block that we just created is chosen to be displayed on the product page. All right, so I'm going to come right here because it's actually below one of the blocks that I made the other day. And I'm just going to copy this here. And remember, we called it location. So when location, and then everything below here is going to be rendered when we choose that block. What I want to do when that block is chosen is I want to grab information from the page associated with that location. That's what I want to do. And that information is in the form of metafields. So in order to figure out which page I'm going to be grabbing the metafield data from, I need to be able to reference that page. So if we look at the Shopify documentation, we have all this information about pages. And I'm actually going to try to grab it from the URL. But here you can also see that they have metafields and a whole bunch of other things. But I think the easiest thing is going to be to grab it from the URL. The title could be it as well. I'm going to pick the URL. So I'm just going to place a div here. And I'm going to use the assign tag. And I'm going to use the assign tag to assign the location to the actual metafield that was referenced in the customizer. So location, and that's the name I'm giving it, so it can be anything. And it's going to be a block. And what did we call it? Let's find it. We just called it text. So that's what we'll use. And what I'm looking at here is this ID because we are already in the settings of this specific block because of that when tag. So we're going to use this ID block.setting.text equals, and I'm just going to say paragraph tag, and we're going to render location because I want to see what this looks like. So save that, and we'll go back to our customizer, and let's see, we deleted it, so let's add it back. So we go to location of product. Over here, we will attach it to the metafield location. And let's see what happens. Let's put this in desktop. And I'm going to move it up, actually. I'm going to put it right under the social sharing so I can see it. I know where it is. All right, so we forgot to assign a location to this product. So let's do that. So I'm going to go back to my products page. I'm going to look for the specific product that we're working on. And I'm going to scroll down to Metafields and view all location. And that is the location that I want. That's the one that we were editing before. So I will save. Now if I go back to the customizer, I'm going to refresh the page. Okay, it wasn't showing up. I figured it out. I wrote setting. It should be settings. So let's add an S there, and that should work. And just so you know, the reason that we aren't putting this block.settings.text right in here is because we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff later. So you could totally switch this and put this here. That's fine. That's the same thing. But now if we go to our test page, we see that right below the share icons is our location. There it is right there. All right, cool. But that's not what we want. What we want is some text associated with this location that is going to display on our page. So the way I've created it is that the location of each product is the same name as the URL of the page, or that section of the URL of the page. So I want to make it look like a URL. So that means we're going to lowercase it and we're going to add some dashes instead of spaces. The way we're going to do that is we're going to come back to our code and we're going to use some liquid to change some things up. So instead of assigning location to just the text that's in the metafield, we want to replace all the spaces with dashes. So we can use replace to do that. And this is liquid code here. Let's also try downcasing it and see what happens. We'll save that and refresh our page and see what it looks like. Awesome. Cool. That's what I want it to look like. So now we can use that. And what I'm going to do is use that to reference the URL of the page and then pull from those metafields that are associated with that page. So pages with brackets, and then what we want in here is location. Metafields custom location. Actually, no, that's not what we want. If you need to reference your metafields, you can always go back to see how they're referenced in the code. So if we go back here and just click on settings, custom data, pages, we have our two metafields. So if we look at prefixture, it's custom.prefixture. So let's do metafields.custom.prefixture. And I'm actually going to get rid of this location just to make it easier to see. All right, sick. That is exactly what we wanted. That is the prefixture I input. So there we go. Now for my purposes, I'm just going to show the prefixture and the summary, which are the two metafields associated with each page. But if you wanted to, you could create separate blocks for each metafield. It's up to you and how you want to display your page. So let's get that summary in there. So we'll do pages, location, metafields, custom, and that one was tradition to table summary. Cool. So now it should show the prefixture and then the summary. And you can even do something like this. This product was produced in, get our metafield, close our tag, and let's see what that looks like. Amazing. That looks awesome. I think this looks super cool, and I haven't even done any CSS to it or formatting. But so now every product is going to show where it was produced and a little bit of a summary about the location and the people who produced it. And anytime that gets updated, it's going to change across all the product pages. So we don't have to worry about it. You don't have to copy and paste the new text for every single product. One more cool thing to do is you could link to that page so that people could learn more about the location. So to do that, we will use some liquid code to link. So let's do that. Learn more about, and instead of referencing the prefixture or anything like that, I'm going to reference the title of the page. So that's all you have to do, but then we need to actually link it. So just like we did replace and downcase up there, we are going to use link to. All right, save that, and we'll refresh our page here. All right, awesome. So it is linked here. If I click that, it'll take me to the page talking about this location. And again, I haven't formatted this with CSS or anything like that, so you'll definitely want to do that. But now we have this dynamically linked, and it's going to save my client and their team a lot of time. So I hope this was helpful for you and you have more of an idea of how to use metafields in Shopify, especially how to bring in metafields from other parts of your store and use them on different pages. I know it's a bit complex and there's a lot of moving pieces, but it makes things so much easier. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I will see you next time.